Zoom recording. Up there recording. Perfect.
This one done?
Yeah. So, talk into it a little bit.
Hello, hello. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Close right there. We're gonna get a little personal, eh? So, just no. I might ask you, who's your first kiss?
No. I'm gonna say the ball every time.
Well, who's your first hug?
My mom, when I was born.
Good. Alright, so this what camera we're looking at first? I guess we'll just look into the microphone, put that one off the right that way. It's not gonna be the best. That one's just looking at you, good. Alright, what up guys? This is Julian here at PSA for the first episode of the 7 to 2 Footy podcast. For my first very episode and guest, I wanted to bring on Danny Leyva. So here we are, Danny in the house.
Thank you, Julian.
Just a little bit. This is my first episode. I bought my 3 cameras. I bought the microphones. I'm gonna be doing the editing. I know it's not up to the podcast YouTube standards, but hopefully some of the content we can give you is good enough for you guys to listen. And I just want to do video so it gives a little bit more of a flair to it. So not gonna be a long one. Take advantage that Danny is his last day here in Vegas. Tomorrow he heads off back to Seattle for his off season. But I want to take advantage of having him here right now, so you guys can kind of hear his story, maybe take some advice from him, anything that can help to the young players of Las Vegas. So with that being said, first, Danny, I'm going to be asking a couple questions.
Okay. Perfect.
Just shoot your answers this way. So first things first, born and raised where?
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah.
Favorite soccer team?
Barcelona.
Okay, he's a little delusional right now. Delusional. Real Madrid fan. So anyway, who got you into soccer first?
I'd probably say my dad, because he was probably my first coach, and growing up he played soccer too in Mexico, in Club America, and the reserves and the younger teams. So I think just growing up in a soccer family, especially with my dad, and putting me in my first team with a couple of my older friends, was kind of my first memory growing up playing soccer.
Okay, cool. At what age did you leave Vegas to go to Seattle?
I left when I was 14, but previous to that I had been traveling with the academy, the Sounders Academy, at 13. So 14 was kind of the age where I left and was alone over there in Seattle.
Okay. And at what age did you sign your first professional contract?
I signed with the second team, which was S2 at the time, when I was 15. And then a couple months later I went to preseason with the first team, and that's when I signed with the professional team.
Okay, your first professional game, I know it's probably with S2 then.
Yeah.
Who was it against?
It was against San Antonio in the USL.
San Antonio. And with the first team?
With the first team against Montreal, I went in a couple of minutes. I think it was like 10 or 8 minutes.
It wasn't against Nacional?
Well, that was a friendly.
Oh, friendly,
yeah,
but
first official game with against Montreal.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so.
So obviously, the first question was, where were you born and raised in Vegas? Tell us a little bit of your kind of like your development. At what age did you start playing soccer? Some coaches have helped you out throughout the way, because I think it's important to recognize some of these people. I know Danny comes here a lot, but it's not just me. He has great people around him, great coaches, great trainers, his parents. So you have to know that it's a good support system. It just can't be done by one person. You need good people around you that are going to help you through good moments, keeping you humble, and through the bad ones. So just explain a little bit. What age did you start playing soccer?
I started playing when I was 3 years old. That was kind of when I first started playing. And then I think it's important, like you said, having a good support system, especially growing up here in Vegas. I think the number one thing and the best support you can have is your family. So I think my dad was kind of a big influence on me, and my mom too, and also my sister too, because she played soccer. So it's always kind of a competition, and we always played at home, you know. We broke a lot of vases and glasses from my mom. Cool. But that's kind of the first support I had. And then coaches, I think, like Julian said, I come here a lot, especially now. But I remember when I was 11 or 10 or even younger, and I'd come train with you. And Gio and Sergio were some of the coaches I had, as well as Che.
I was about to say, don't forget him.
Yeah, I know.
The first time I met Danny was actually, I think it was on the state office, the it's funny because I remember these little things. I used to hang out with our trainer that Danny had a lot, and I had him as well, Che. It was at that league office on Charleston. I think it was the Silver Girls League, whatever. Silver State.
Yeah.
And we were doing there, and I ran into you and your dad, and I remember Che was like, keep an eye on him. Like, don't lose tabs of him. His work rate, even though I think you were 5 at that age or 6, something super young. Yeah. He's like, this kid works really, really hard. Every time I throw a little challenge at him, he's willing to kind of like practice and then dominate it. So it's funny how Che at that moment knew that you had something to do with soccer.
Yeah, and I think that was a big part of my development, especially because he was a mentor to you, Gio, and Sergio a lot. So I think just being there and training with older kids as well and having that kind of methodology of working a lot on technique and being passionate about the game, I think that was a good thing to learn from him and you guys as well, because I watched you guys play.
Yeah, not the finest moments at UNLV at first. Got towards better towards the end. At what age did you think like, hey, this is what I want to do though? This is where I was like, hey, this is my dream. I have no other option.
I think that was always my dream growing up. I think even when I went to school, when I was in elementary or middle school, they always asked me like, what was your dream? What's your future job, or what do you want to be when you grow up? I think it was always being a soccer player. But I think the moment I took it more serious or realized how it was make it or break it, I think is when I moved to Seattle when I was 14, especially going there alone, leaving my family behind. I think in that moment, I cried a lot. At the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, it was tough at first, but I think in that moment it really made me realize how important it was to me to make it, especially because I had the support of my family, you know, in Las Vegas and being there alone. That's kind of like a good setting for me. Not because my family wasn't there, but because that was kind of my main focus over there. It was just, you got to work hard, you got to fight for a spot, and hopefully you get a chance because not everyone makes it. And I saw that as well in the academy. Not a lot of guys made it to the first team or second team, but you know, there's other routes as well. But that's kind of when I took it serious, when I went to Seattle when I was 14.
Absolutely. So we kind of talked about a little bit the support system at home and then the trainers. But I think another component that's kind of important for soccer players to have, young, even once you get older, older players will tell you this. What do you do by yourself that kind of like made you different? Because sometimes you have to work alone. You're not always going to have a trainer. You're not always going to have mom or dad there to push you, or even a coach. So what did you do to kind of like excel even more by yourself?
What I started doing more, especially in Seattle, was going by myself to the field, especially because when I was in Vegas, I had trainers like you, like Gio, like Sergio and Che to help me work a little bit and get your point of view. But when I was over there, I went a lot of times to the field. I'd grab one of my friends from the academy, even if it was like a keeper, and I would just like shoot on him and work on different details, you know, of the game. Especially over there, I started learning more of the aspect of, you know, analyzing games and watching, you know, over my highlights and learning different things that I could do better and things that I did well. And I think that's also something that helped me learn more, was watching a lot of games with the first team, and especially like doing video review. That's kind of another aspect that helped me grow a lot, because you can learn, you know, working and training, but also it's like the perspective you see from some of the bigger players, that what they do, you know? No,
absolutely, and I think that's one of my main arguments in Vegas that we're missing. You go to Seattle, you have some pretty decent D1s that have pretty good men's soccer programs and women's. And then obviously you have the Seattle Sounders, and not just the Seattle Sounders. Now, back in the day it was S2, but now it's Tacoma Defiance. So it's something that inspires kids in Vegas. I mean, we just have the Lights and UNLV, not bad programs, but at the end of the day, you know, Seattle's more of a soccer city. There's a little bit more motivation. Yeah. So that's why I think it's important for kids to sometimes get out of Vegas and experience different things. But moving on. So another question. A lot of people, not a question, kind of statement. A lot of people don't know, but Vegas, Danny has represented us at the World Cup level, at the U17 level. How was that experience?
Oh, it's a surreal experience, especially when you're representing, you know, your country in the international level. I think it's a different feeling when you get to put on the crest, put on the jersey, because you're not only representing your club anymore, you're representing the whole country, and especially playing against the best players from other countries as well in the international stage. It's a different type of feeling. It's more like an honor. So I think being able to go to the U17 World Cup was a huge honor and a good learning experience as well. Not only because of the players I played against, but it's a different preparation, it's a different stage, you know. Yeah. There's different countries that, you know, in their countries, soccer is the biggest thing, you know. They play with a different kind of passion and focus in it. So being able to see that, the atmosphere as well, especially recently right now, when I went to Chile, when we played against Chile in the semifinal, I think that's probably the best experience I've had. Just hearing their anthem, you know, all the people sing.
But that was the Pan American Games.
Pan American Games, yeah.
So I'll go back to a little bit. So we'll touch base on the Pan American Games because that's a little more recently, a couple months ago. In the World Cup, you played against who? It was Senegal, Netherlands, and who else?
And Japan.
Who was the best team out of the three?
I think Japan was the most organized, but I think Senegal was probably the toughest one for us, just because they were really dynamic and in that sense fast. But Japan, I think, as well, because their organization, especially now, you could see with their youth teams, they're really building a good organization there, and you can see with their senior national team, like, it's not just speed and strength, but they're really technical and they play to a certain way that everyone understands.
Cool. No, and it's important to know. I mentioned a lot this U17. I think it's because not a lot of. I mean, who do we have from Vegas that's represent us at a World Cup stage? I think Herculez Gomez wasn't born here, but he was raised here. And the only one that really comes to my mind, I think, is Sakia Bywaters. I think she played a U20 Women's World Cup. So it's an honor. It's like the third player to represent us from Vegas to represent us at the world stage. Yeah. Then moving forward now. And we'll get to the Pan American Games. I want to kind of go like year by year. Yeah. Kind of describe your first year of pro when you were 15. Because I have some questions that from IG that I want to pull. Because some people are asking, how was this pro goal? Yeah. At 8, how was your first year of pro when you signed with the S2?
I think it was a good year.
The lows, the learning. Did your head get too big sometimes? Anything, you got to be a little bit, not transparent, but what was your learning experience? I
think it was a good experience to learn from because, especially playing in the academy, my U15 year, I remember I was starting pretty much every game, and even with the 17s, I was playing a lot. So getting into the second team, it wasn't like I was going to play right away, you know, it was come in, train, work hard. You're not going to get in right away to the team, but you could learn from the guys next to you. So I think in that kind of sense, it was kind of tough because the first couple games I didn't really play a lot. But then as I eased into it and I learned more how they prepare, you know, how they take care of themselves, their diet as well, how they eat, it's all like part of the process. And I think in that sense, it was a really good year for me to, you know, grasp what it is to be a pro, you know, especially because a lot of people don't understand the mental side of it. I think they just see like, oh, like he prepares himself, has a lot of talent, he can make it. But a lot of the times it's the mental side of it and how you prepare that really makes a difference. So being with the second team, even if it wasn't really with the first team yet, all those guys, you know, it's their job now, so they're all working and trying to make a living, and they're all fighting for the spot. So I think grasping that sense of competition and preparation was a really good year for me.
It's different too. Yeah. What came first? When did you play the Dallas Cup? When you guys won everything? When you guys beat Valencia in the final?
The GA Cup was 2019.
Were you a pro already by then?
Yeah, I was already with the first team. But before that, I played in 2018 with the U17s.
Okay, cool. It's also, and again, it's going to be all over the place a little bit, but Danny also did play the GA Cup where he won with Seattle's,
U17s.
U17s. What award did you get at the end of the tournament?
The MVP.
MVP. So it's a good honor. Hey, the GA Cup and Dallas Cup Series, there's been some ballers that have come out of that tournament. Yeah. And also a team from the United States, a team from Seattle beating Valencia, a team from Spain, which obviously you know has produced some of the best players. For a team from the United States to actually beat them was I remember watching the game and then watching you, and I think one game that I was like always remember is when you played against River Plate.
Yeah,
I think this dude was like megging people, doing stuff that I was like I didn't even know he can do that. So again, it goes back to just you guys kind of listening to some of his successes. It hasn't always been like that. What do you think has been one of your when you first turned pro, you talked about how it was hard, and I can kind of simulate with that because when you're so used to starting, being on that roster, getting at least decent playing time, if not playing the full 90 minutes, to then getting to a point where I'm just playing now 5, 10. What kind of helped you get through those moments where you're frustrated? You're like, why are they calling me up and I'm not even getting that much playing time? Or, anything that you felt like that? Yeah,
I think it's very easy in those moments to be negative, and kind of like give up.
Yeah.
But I think it's important, like we said earlier at the beginning, the support system you have, with my parents. My parents and my sister were always a big help to me, especially in the down moments where it gets tough because they always, keep me positive and keep me focused towards the goal. And I think the one attribute that kind of helped me out and I built more throughout being a pro was kind of that resiliency to, you know, not give up, to always stay positive and keep working, because you never know, like you said, maybe it's different than starting the game, but you get 5-10 minutes at first, but those 5-10 minutes you have to show something to the coaching staff or the team that, you know, you deserve to play or get more looks at. So I think in that sense it's really important to stay positive, to keep working, and to, you know, always stay determined, because you never know when your opportunity is going to come. There could be injuries, or there could be your opportunity to play because of a lot of matches, and when it comes you have to be ready.
Absolutely. You know, injuries, yeah, anything can happen really. So we talked about year one. You're going into what, how many years of pro now?
5.
This is be your 5th year
Yeah.
now. So let's talk about kind of like how year 2, year 3, and year 4 have kind of played out kind of in that timeline.
Well, my year 1, I think I played like 6 matches, and that's kind of like where...
Did you score a goal yet with S2 on that point?
With S2, yeah, I scored.
So you scored at age 15?
Yeah.
With them, okay.
And with the first team, I scored, but I remember the VAR took it away against Vancouver.
No, I remember watching that game. It was on my desktop. There's actually a YouTube, and I think it's Danny Leyva's controversial VAR goal.
Yeah, it was my first start against Vancouver at home, so...
It was with the first team?
With the first team, yeah.
It was like a 50-50 chance between the keeper and one of Seattle strikers. Ball spills out, but in that 50-50, supposedly the Seattle striker stepped on the goalie. Ball spills out outside the 18. Danny gets it and chips it. The goalie stayed on the ground because supposedly he got stepped on. But anyway, I think it was a goal. What do you think?
I think so too, but...
Watch out, don't go under my business. Not played.
No, they're referees. But no, it was still a good experience, especially... You know, starting that match and winning it at the end with a late winner from Leerdam, I remember. But I was super nervous walking out, especially seeing the stadium full. And like you said, like it was my opportunity because a lot of the guys were out in their international teams. So
you took advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, and I remember too because I wasn't supposed to start that game, but one of the players got injured.
In the warm-up or what?
Yeah, the day before. In the warm-up. And the coach was like, Danny, for the set pieces, come over here and you're going to start tomorrow. So yeah, it was kind of like my opportunity to show them. And
so that was year 2?
Yeah. No, year 1. Year 1.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yes, okay. Now moving on, because you have something that a lot of people actually, you know, work hard for. I don't know if there's any other soccer player from Vegas that's gone this. You're also an MLS champion. You have an MLS ring. Yeah. How was that year?
No, it was unbelievable. I was lucky enough to have it be my first year too, to be an MLS Cup champion.
Oh, that was the first year too?
First year, yeah. First
I
year
don't know, you haven't changed much, so.
20.
That's all right.
Nah, but 2019 it was a surreal experience because, you know, like I said, I started my first game, and after that game, I think I played like 3 games in a row. And then it was a critical moment because a lot of the guys were injured and they were out on their international team, so we needed to get points and stay up top. So yeah, being able to win it the first year, not a lot of guys win trophies throughout their career. Like we see, especially a lot of the big guys like Harry Kane or a lot of the other guys. You know?
don't do that to him.
But no, yeah, winning a trophy is hard. Like people don't realize, but I had the opportunity to have it be my first year, so it was good.
Cool. And then moving forward, you also have another one, which is the CONCACAF Champions. Yeah. How was that tournament for you?
It was good. It was a good experience, especially playing against a lot of the Mexican teams and teams from Honduras and El Salvador. It's a different kind of tournament because it's not as many games as a league.
Yeah.
So every game matters, and it's elimination and knockout round. So being able to celebrate that too in Seattle and play against Pumas in the final was a good experience. And
okay.
Good.
And then also you got to play with winning that tournament, CONCACAF Champions. You also got the opportunity of playing the FIFA Club World Cup.
Club World Cup, yeah.
Where was that at?
In Morocco.
Morocco.
Yeah.
Where was it, in Casablanca?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that experience?
It was something different too.
If you guys would have won, who you guys would have played?
We would have played Real Madrid.
Yeah, so having that little sensation of if we win this game, we're gonna move on and play against.
Team, yeah.
You were gonna probably be on the midfield against Luka Modric or Casemiro at that time, and Toni Kroos. How was that experience though, playing in the FIFA Club World Cup?
Nah, like I said, it's always a different experience playing international games because you got to travel to different countries, see new cultures and everything, and different types of players as well. And no, that experience was something else. I remember playing against an Egyptian team, and the whole crowd was whistling at us every time we got the ball. So it was.
In Egyptian soccer is something that we don't really hear about. How were they as players? Were they good?
They were good, yeah. Technically really good, really fast, really determined. Like every ball, 50-50, they fight for it like it's the last one.
And I'm not trying to bash the soccer here, but I think we're so kind of, how can I say, blind, and we don't really get to see much soccer. We don't really realize how good some like Egyptians, Moroccans, Japan, some of these countries are. The players are just so technically gifted, so talented, skilled wise. Because we always focus on Spain, Brazil, Argentina. So that's why I asked him that question. I was like, how was it playing against now? You played against teams from Central America. You played against teams from Mexico. You played a U17 World Cup, and obviously getting the chance to play against some Egyptians. Like this, I've heard some of those players over there they have pretty decent careers. So, and obviously they have one of the great ones from Liverpool, Mo Salah. So, and Danny's just, how old are you right now? 20. So kind of to summarize a little bit more of his story, GA Cup champion, MLS champion, CONCACAF champion, all this at the age of 20. What keeps you going still, in the sense that, I'm still not satisfied? I know it's 20 and there's still a long career to go, but you have your ups and downs. But what kind of gets you going? This is my goal for this year, moving forward into this new season.
Yeah, I think it's always been like my dream to, first be a professional soccer player, but now like play for the biggest clubs, go to Europe is hopefully one of my dreams as well, compete at the biggest stages, hopefully play a World Cup with the senior national team. So I think just having all those dreams is what really keeps me going, as well as my family, because I know they've sacrificed a lot to give me the opportunity to be able to play soccer, especially, with a lot of traveling, a lot of expenses, especially here in Vegas. It's not easy for a lot of the players to be able to play on club teams, but my parents always made it work for me and gave me that opportunity to keep going. And I know they're proud of me, but I also want to keep going and keep achieving bigger things, because, that's kind of what my drive is about.
Yeah, cool. So kind of moving into a little different segment. I want to talk about, I'm going to pull up some questions actually, because your sister actually asked one yesterday. I don't know if she told you.
No. Surprise.
We'll pull it up though. So yes, on IG I was like, any questions for Danny Leyva? So let's go to Andres first. Who is the better Leyva sibling?
I think me, but I think she's gonna say herself too.
What do you think?
I think we're different players.
What do you think is one thing Andrea has that you don't have?
I think in her age and her team as well, I think it's her strength and like her build. I think she's a really.
I think it's more mental. I think she's mentally stronger than you. I'm just being honest.
No.
I think she's just.
We'll see about that.
She's a little more cocky, arrogant. She believes it more than you.
I think so too.
Some of the comments I've heard come out of her mouth is like, "I'm here." I've never heard you say that.
Especially her with the injury she had. It's not easy coming out, mentally.
Regardless, she's still the
she's still the same.
Yeah, no, that's good. Obviously, it's a little bit hard. There's a different question, because you didn't go through college.
No. Yeah.
But you're in college, which I think is another part, and I'm gonna kind of deviate to a conversation with this. Yeah. I think it's important to realize that even though he didn't go to college and decided to go pro, and he's 20 years old. When are you getting your college diploma?
In May.
In May. So he's gonna graduate. He's actually gonna graduate college early.
Like a year early. Yeah.
And what's your major?
Business administration.
Business.
Yeah.
So it's not a coincidence I brought him on to the first episode. I think it's a great player and great person that you guys try to have to emulate. Didn't leave school behind. It's important that you guys always stay busy, because turning pro at an early age, you're training in the mornings. Yeah. And then you decide, whatever, I already finished high school, I'm done, I'm not going to do anything else, I'm not going to book up again. Injuries can happen. One day, the coach that's on the team really likes you, and then the other day they fire that coach and they bring a new one, and that new one doesn't want to do anything with you. So what do? Now you don't have a team, you don't have school. I think it's important to realize Danny continued on school, and it kind of keeps you busy in the afternoons too. Yeah. I think a lot of players just like, I'm just going to throw everything into this basket, and that's fine. But you always have to have kind of like a little bit of something else to just keep yourself entertained and keep yourself busy, just in case anything happens. Yeah. But the next question is, what is the best advice that you can give college athletes that aspire to go pro? Because you've had some teammates in Seattle that have gone through the college system, and maybe they've told you stories of this how what happens, this how it goes. Yeah. What do you think is for that question, what do you think is the best advice you can give college athletes that aspire to be pro?
Yeah, I think it's just being able to take, advantage of your opportunities. I think you can relate to this too, like the college program back then doesn't have as many like opportunities that they have now, especially with the draft and all that. Like, I think players get more of a chance to be seen and more of a pathway, especially with a lot of college players playing in MLS now that like have broken through and had really good seasons. So I think my advice would be to like always, you know, keep working and the opportunity you get to make the most out of it. I think in the little time you have where you're trialing or you're training with a team to, you know, just make yourself be seen and be the player you are, take advantage of the opportunity, but also like try to impress, you know, with the little bit of time you have.
Cool. Let's see this one. Urban and some of them run on this one. I'm not gonna. So one question. That one guy that's a big soccer fanatic for all the teams that come here is Byron. His name is Byron Toothpick. Yeah. He's hit you up, and I know you probably gave him a jersey. Have you given him a jersey?
Nah, I'm saving one for him.
Oh, okay. He asked, what was how'd your first goal feel as a professional?
It was a really good moment. I think I dreamed of it like many times before, but once it happened, it was a.
Are you talking about the one with S2 then?
Yeah, with S2.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember it was with my left foot, and it was right before I went to the World Cup. So Ati actually gave me the assist on it. Azriel, another player from
Vegas that played with you.
In
Cool.
Seattle. So I remember he kind of like won it back from the center defender, dribbled a little bit, and then played it to his right, and I was there, and I kind of just like curled it to the front post. Okay. So it was a really good memory, and I celebrated with a lot of passion with the coach and everyone.
No, because you were, how old were you at that time?
I was 15.
15. Some of these kids can't even tie their shoes when they're 15 in here. With respect. Now, moving forward kind of to the latest events that's gone on in your career, going to your 5th year, but a couple months back, you got an opportunity to represent the U23s in the Pan American Games.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
I think it was a really good experience, especially, like I said earlier, you know, representing your country is always a different feeling, and especially in preparation for the Olympics. Hopefully, you know, it's a good opportunity for me. Hopefully I can make that squad, but I think it was a really good experience, especially playing against Brazil, Chile, Colombia, and Honduras as well. You know, a lot of the players that were representing the team there didn't really get opportunities in the past, so it was kind of a new team that just got together, and I think that's probably one of the best teams I've ever been part of because of the chemistry that there was, and especially because it wasn't easy playing away from home, you know, and especially in the semifinal against Chile. Like I said, that's probably the best atmosphere I've ever felt in a game. So
cool. Even more than Seattle when you guys. Well, how much did that stadium fill? Like 75.
75, yeah.
You also scored in that one, and I'm gonna deviate this conversation to this. I've always seen Danny more as a 8 or 10, but this dude's stuck on playing the 6. What is your favorite position? You can say the 6, but I'm gonna disagree with you.
I like playing the 8. I like doing a little bit of both, being box to box, you know, where I can get on the ball and distribute, but where I can also attack and create. That's
Who'd you score against?
Honduras.
And how was it?
A header.
And that's why I say this guy can play an 8 and 10, because I've seen this guy. I haven't really worried crossing and finishing with him in the past years. But this guy, when a couple times in the past when we went to UNLV to go train some crosses, I saw this guy. He was finishing better than some 9s that I trained. So that's why I'm like, dude, what are you doing back there? Go up, go up. Again, didn't want to make this too long. Obviously, Danny has to go home and pack. But any advice for any young players in Vegas, what to do? You know, from the way they sleep, the way they talk, the way they dress, the way they practice. You know, what advice would you give, kind of keeping it short and simple, but kind of in those things fit into it?
Yeah, I think it's important, like you said, the topic you touched earlier about, you know, about the education, like how I'm still doing school and being prepared. I think it all comes in the preparation, you know, because especially here in Las Vegas, there's a lot of talent with a lot of players. But I think the other side of it is the mental side and how they eat, how they prepare, you know, making sure they get enough hours of sleep. I think that's kind of like the silent training that, you know, I learned from my previous coaches. That's like really important as well, because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have the discipline and the mentality to make it through the tough moments, I think that's what's gonna make the difference. And especially like here, a lot of players now are being able to go to other MLS academies and leave, you know, home. And I know it's not easy for a lot of the guys that they're comfortable here, but I think if there's a good opportunity outside and you can make the jump, then take it, you know. And I think you learn a lot of responsibility when you leave home at a young age, like it happened to me. So I think what I've learned and the advice I can give is to, you know, keep going. There's gonna be good days, bad days, but just all about keep working and staying disciplined and, you know, not giving up on your dream.
Okay, good. And my last question to you, maybe a little negative, but what's one thing to coach you, like, that he told you and you're like, oh, damn, like, that actually kind of got me a little bit, like, it hurt? Yeah. Like, my first time, I remember when I got transferred out to play in Cancun with Atlantis U17s over there, because there was one in Mexico City, one in Cancun, and the Cancun coach told us, because it was 2 other players that went with me, they're like, we really didn't need you guys. You guys are not as good as you guys think. You guys are actually worse than what we have here. And that was the first time I heard anyone talk to me like that. Yeah. I think I was 17 at the time. I was like, and it stuck to me. I took it personal. Yeah. And instead of kind of like, all right, I'm going to show you, I was kind of, oh, this guy doesn't even know what he is. This team is even worse than the other team I was on before. What's one thing that coach kind of told you that kind of fired you up and like, oh, I'm going to show you, dude?
I would probably say...
You don't got to say the name, but
no. I'm not going to say the name. But especially the way I play, it's probably my... You know, the deficiencies I have is not being that fast or strong. So I think in a training session one time, you know, I went in strong to one of the older players, and that older player got mad at me. And he was like, who do you think you are? Like, don't touch me like that. Like, you're coming here and you think you're all that. And I think that's kind of like what fired me up a little bit, especially because... You know, they have their experience and they're one of the older players, but I think I went in there like not being afraid, you know, that I'm gonna take his spot and I'm gonna go in hard to win, you know, my contract or my next contract or my starting spot, you know. Yeah. So I think a lot of people don't realize that, like when you go into that kind of environment, like they're fighting for their spots too. So I don't think it was from a coach, but from an older player.
I think it's important. You know, some kids say like they take everything personal, and again it goes back to. I think in Vegas, kids not being exposed to those type of environments, whereas hostile the whole time. Yeah,
and it wasn't personal. I remember the next day I went in the morning. I said, "Hey, sorry for yesterday." He's like, "No problem. What happened on the field? Stayed on the field. Like I'm just trying to help you out. That it's not going to be easy, and like that there's players fighting for their spot." So cool. It was a good learning experience. Yeah.
All right then. Well. Hopefully you guys liked the episode. It's the first episode. Danny, thank you for sticking by. This guy came here at 10:30. It's already 2, so he's been here for a while. He needs to go get some food, pack, and spend time with mom and dad before he heads out. And links up with Andrea again. Yeah. So thank you guys. You guys stuck around through the whole episode, and hopefully we'll keep providing good content, and we'll see you guys for the next one.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Good. I think so.
I think it turned